Robin Lundberg here with Amy Campbell for another edition of SI Now's College Football Recruiting Corner. And this week, Amy, we're taking a look at Alabama, and fans probably used to Nick Saban doing pretty well on the recruiting trail. How's it going so far for him now?
Well, that's a really interesting point, Robin, because like you said, the fans are used to Nick Saban doing incredibly well. They've signed a #1 class for the last 7 years, but right now they're sitting at number 9, which if you're a Crimson Tide fan, this is very confusing.
Dun, dun, dun.
A month ago, they were at number 17, though. They added 3 guys in a 24-hour period since then. They've already shot up to number 9. There are no 5 stars in this class, but buckle up because it is coming.
Now, they've been at #1 since 2010, I believe. Is there a streak of being the #1 recruiting class in jeopardy?
Well, it absolutely could be. Last year they did sign the #1 spot, but they had 29 guys in that class, so they're going to sign a little bit less this year. Ohio State is sitting at #1. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can get those big-time 5 stars to fill up that room.
Now, who do they have recruited so far? Who's committed to Alabama?
We talk about Alabama, and it's usually very flashy, right? They will get their fair share of flashy playmakers, but I want to give the offensive line some love. Bama always has a great offensive line and consistently sign top linemen, and surprise, surprise, they're doing it again this year. Emil Ekiyor is the #2 center in the country, and the staff at Alabama is very excited about this guy. He's 6'2", 322 pounds in high school. I just can't even believe how big these guys are. So clearly he takes up some space. He's very light on his feet for a guy that size, and he's quite strong. He'll push guys around. The staff likes him so much he could end up starting at center as a freshman for the Crimson Tide, which is very rare for an offensive lineman. And then let's flip to the defensive side of the ball. The Tide have only been able to lock up 1 commitment out of the state of Georgia. But Nick Saban has come into his protege Kirby Smart's backyard and stolen outside linebacker Quay Walker. The 4-star linebacker is a top 100 prospect, #3 at his position in the country, 6'4", 220. His length and his speed give him that versatility to stay on the field for 3 downs and do a variety of things on defense. He's got that edge that I love to see in linebackers as well. So a lot to look forward to for the Crimson Tide here.
Offensive linemen, linebackers, that sounds like Alabama to me. But as you say, they are rising up the rankings. Who are they still targeting to try and get back to that #1 spot?
A lot of big fish out there, Robin. They're going to sign about 22 guys in this class. And like I said, there are a lot of big fish still out there. One they've been in on for a while is receiver Justin Ross. We've talked about him before because he is wanted by many schools, but he's from Alabama. So the Tide look good here, though Auburn is after him too. He's been on campus at both schools a lot this fall. Clemson's also in the mix. Ross is one of those big-time playmakers on the outside. He's 6'4", and he's mostly played basketball, so he's going to be that guy who can take the top off a defense and use his size to just go up and get the ball and cause all sorts of mismatch issues for DBs. And as the recruiting drama starts to really heat up this time of year, things are getting very interesting with 5-star defensive end Brenton Cox. The Georgia prospect committed to Ohio State back in April, but Alabama and Georgia both turned up the heat on his recruitment, and after an official visit to Tuscaloosa, Cox decommitted from the Buckeyes and open things back up. That really looks good for Bama, but Georgia's very much in the mix for Cox, and we know Kirby Smart does not lose a lot of those in-state guys that he wants. Cox is a stud on the DL and a monster as an edge rusher, so he is a hot commodity. And let me give you one more. The drama does not stop there. We talked about Emory Jones in our Ohio State update, the 4-star QB out of Georgia who's still committed to the Buckeyes, but keeps visiting Alabama, keeps visiting Auburn. Ohio State hasn't been feeling so great about landing him, and they just took a commitment from a different quarterback, Matthew Baldwin. He announced that commitment on Twitter, and Jones responded with that emoji. So we talk about those QB dominoes. They're starting to fall. Urban Meyer's not waiting on Jones anymore, and that bodes really well for Alabama and Auburn. So buckle up, kids. It's going to be a good battle on the recruiting trail.
So it's not so much recruiting for Nick Saban as it is reloading?
That's a really good way to say it. And when I was on the beat covering recruiting, we used to say Nick Saban is a selector. He comes into a school and he selects who he wants. They reload. And my favorite example to always talk about is that running back position. You talk about Trent Richardson, Eddie Lacy, Derrick Henry, Bo Scarborough, Najee Harris is going to be the next guy there. They all look the same. They all have that same build. They all run in a similar way. They've all got dreads. They're like cranked out of that same running back machine. One other fun fact to add there, we talk about how they consistently sign those top classes. They have not been out of the top 4 since his first year there when he only had 3 weeks to put together a class. They were number 12. So it's going to be probably another really good year for Alabama fans.
There you have it, Amy Campbell with your college football recruiting corner. on Alabama. Roll Tide, I guess.
Roll Tide.